Welcome to Toot Your Own Horn Music Matters. I am here with Jenifer Swanson today. I am so excited to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
I am very eager to hear you tell our audience how you chose your wind instrument. Tell us about your beginnings.
So I am the only musician in my family, as I have four siblings and they all played sports, and I decided to go the music route. Though I didn't really have an idea of what I wanted to play. I was like, well, I just want to be in band. I don't know what I'm going to play though. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll just play clarinet. Funny enough. And because I had no idea. Nobody in my family played an instrument, so I didn't be like, oh, I want to play so and so like my mom, whatever. And my mom actually told me, she's like, well, I don't know. I want you to play flute. It's such a pretty instrument. So I was okay, fine. Like I had no preference. And it's a good thing she asked me to play flute because I turned out loving it. And I did learn how to play clarinet, but I just don't like it as much as flute. Flute's my baby.
Awesome. That's amazing. And what made you think you wanted to play a band instrument? Was it because no one in your family did and you wanted to be different, or what was that?
I had just always really loved music. It resonated with me, pun intended. Um, and I remember my mom telling me that from when I was a toddler, I would sit and watch a movie and sing along with it, and I was really, really engrossed with all the music. I loved watching Fantasia as a kid, the original one. I'm that old. Um, and so I just knew I wanted to be involved in music because I had always loved it from the time I was a baby, essentially.
But no one directed you towards it. It was something that you self-directed.
Yeah, I think I don't remember, but there could have been some you know, push from my mom, but not like you're gonna do this. Like maybe you would enjoy band, but I don't remember that. I think I just kind of went in that direction on my own.
Did you have a closet flute? Did somebody in your family play the flute?
No, to my knowledge, no. The only thing, like we didn't own a flute. The only thing I recall is apparently my dad played the flute for maybe like a year or two when he was in school.
Yep.
But by the time I had started, nobody played an instrument and we didn't have any instruments. I think one of my brothers had an acoustic guitar and that was it. But he just kind of like strummed it. He didn't actually play. Um, yeah. So my mom went to a pawn shop and bought me a flute that we ended up needing to have like almost all the pads replaced. And so, that was expensive, but I think it was still less expensive than having to buy a brand new flute.
hmm
So I
So,
got started on an inexpensive art leaf that my mom found at a pawn shop. And I played that flute for, I don't know, 5, 6 years. It was awesome.
mhm. And so after 5 or 6 years of playing on it, it was pretty clear you loved it. Then what happened?
So I loved band and I loved playing music, but I didn't decide that I wanted to pursue music as a career until I was a senior in high school.
Mm.
I had never had private lessons until I was a senior. There was a former band student's parent who decided to donate some money to the school for private lessons for students, which was wonderful and amazing. So myself and a bassoon player, we would go down to the local university and we would study with the professor there. And I think once I kind of dove into the true possibilities of being a wind musician, I really decided that's what I wanted to study. And so I started out doing that in college. When I was a senior, I bought my first like intermediate step up type flute. It was like a Meinhardt. I really enjoyed it for a long time. And yeah.
And what other things were you good at in school?
Well, I was, and I still am. I'm very outgoing. I like to talk. I'm very chatty. And I think that was also part of the reason I loved being in an ensemble so much and being in band is because I was outgoing and ambitious and not afraid to kind of step out of my comfort zone, play solos, help others even if somebody was struggling with something. I always felt that I could help them.
So it felt like a very safe place.
Mhm.
Lots of friends, people that were interested in working together. It was easy to be a leader and also to participate, it sounds like.
And when I was in high school, I remember the first like my freshman year, the high school band, it was pretty big for our school. We were small compared to where I live now, which is Utah, and the bands are, 100 plus members. But by the time my sophomore year came, a lot of them had kind of whittled down to just like this more serious of the band members. Um, and some of them left because they were like, well, I don't know, if I'm in band, then I can't be popular, which I don't think that's true. But I didn't care. I was like, I don't, man, I love band and I don't care about anything else really. Like, I didn't do the sports. I didn't do cheerleading. I just loved band and I wasn't going to let anything get in the way of that.
So what do you think's that thing about band isn't pop for popular kids? What's that about?
I don't know, to be completely honest with you. I have no idea, but I just remember like we had I think he was a saxophone player and he was good, but I feel like he just wanted to run with a different crowd, and so he was like, I can't do that if I'm in band. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever, I guess.
Hmm. Is it, you think that band is playing a wind instrument is associated with being nerdy, or being in band is like,
Maybe there might be some, aspect of that. But for me, I didn't care because I loved it so much.
mhm. Did it take up a lot of time in school? Was band a big activity?
At my high school, not really. Band was just, it was the last period of the day, and we didn't have like a band camp, a summer camp or anything like that. Here in Utah where I live, they do. They have these huge like marching band camps that they do in the summertime in preparation for the coming year. But for me, it was just band during the day. We did a couple marching competitions. We did one field show in the fall for, it was usually the homecoming football game. Um, and that just all happened during school. The only thing that was outside of the school day was jazz band, and that was on a Tuesday night, but that was it.
Mhm. That's amazing. So when you decided that music was your thing, I mean, you said that you were really outgoing. Were you a good student?
I was a good student. Yeah, I there were certain things I struggled with, math being one of them.
Mhm.
And sometimes if something was like a long haul, so to speak, if it was going to take me a few months to like do a big project, sometimes I would struggle with that. But all in all, I was a good student.
Mhm.
And I think because of my ambition, everybody that that enhanced like the grades and things, if that makes sense.
Mhm. And so what made music stand out as being something worth pursuing, I guess, considering you were ambitious and determined and
I think it was worth pursuing just because for me, I really love music, and I just, it makes me feel good. It brings me joy. And I do like meeting new people. I like forming relationships with people over something that we both enjoy. And I think that was the perfect vessel for those goals in my life.
is there anything that happened that made you realize that? Like, was there a competition or an interaction or something that made you really understand that you wanted that?
When I was a senior in high school, I went to I think it was the California Music Educators Association, like convention that they had, and I was recommended by my teacher to be in the all-state band, so students from all over California. And so I ended up in the band, and then you auditioned for a chair placement. And had I practiced maybe a little bit more, I probably could have gotten like first or second. I got fourth though, and that was great, I thought.
Yeah.
I was really, really happy with that. But that was such a big band. That was one that was probably about 100 people. And of course, being an all-state and being made up of musicians who were recommended by their teacher, the caliber of playing was a little bit higher than I was used to. And I think I realized the potential of playing with a higher caliber group, and that was kind of a turning point for me. That, oh, I really want to pursue this, whether I be a paid professional player or not. I just want to improve myself to the point where I can play with other like high caliber musicians.
Mhm. Why is that? What's so cool about that?
About playing with high caliber,
Mhm.
I just think we can experiment more. When you have a higher skill set, it allows you to really explore the instrument and explore the music and the style. You're not just focusing on notes and rhythms anymore. Um, and that's just a lot of fun.
So it's truly a form of communication, which you're good
Mhm.
at.
Yeah. Yeah, communicating with the other musicians, communicating with the audience is the big one, is we really want to make the audience, feel and say like, wow.
Mhm. And were you still playing on your Gemeinhardt then?
In my senior year, yes, I was. I played that until I think like 2008. So I played that one for a couple of years, and then I got an Azumi, which I really enjoyed too.
When you went on to college, what was your major?
I was a flute performance major.
Mhm.
And I tell people even now, I'm like, I teach private lessons, I teach private flute, but I don't have any real interest in going into like the public school system. So I'm not like I have a lot of friends who have double majored in performance and education because they want to be a teacher
Yeah.
and they have performance just kind of as an additional educational background. But yeah, I don't really have any interest in being a teacher in a public setting.
Yeah. So you teach private. Did you get an undergraduate and a graduate degree in flute? What was
So
your
I'm still working on my undergraduate. I started out right after high school, and then I got married, and I did pursue and kind of investigate other avenues of work and things in life, but I always kept coming back to music, and I really still loved it. Like I still played my flute on my own. I would look for a group to be in with flutes. It's like I always kind of jokingly say we're a dime a dozen. And it's hard to get in anywhere on a flute, even at a community level, because there's so many of us, um, at least where I live. And so, I still played my flute, and then when I got the opportunity to be in an ensemble, I jumped on it, and then I really decided I was like, okay, I need to go back and finish my degree and pursue this full time.
Mhm. And so what other kinds of work had you pursued? What made you do that? Like what caused you doubt?
Well, I was money driven for a while, and so I did some stuff in sales. And I think being a young adult, I was a little bit not confused, but just wayward and like, well, what am I actually going to do? Like I know that I love this, but I don't know, like there's just so many things, and I was just distracted by a lot of other potentials because I think I was thinking as much as I love music, I could make money doing other things. And so I just went in different directions and experimented for a while.
Mhm. What did you not like about sales?
Oh, I mean it was fine, but it just wasn't like sitting at a desk all day wasn't quite my thing.
Yeah.
At least not doing that. I could probably sit at a desk doing other things, but just and like the numbers and the whole like feeling of maybe I was trying to like push people or, trying to convince them, and I didn't really care too much for that.
Yeah. Sales jobs only work if you really love the products you're selling
Right.
and you believe in the company. Otherwise, it totally feels funny. I think
Yeah.
it's so
Right.
bad.
Exactly. Like I could sell flutes because I'd be like, they're all awesome. Just which one do you like?
Right. Did you ever think about that as a step, like to work in the industry?
Uh in sales.
Yeah.
I have thought about it. I've just never applied anywhere. It's I feel like it's not often that I see those positions coming up, and usually I would have to relocate, and so that's something I have to consider because I have a family. I've got my husband. I've got my child, and um, my little boy Alex. He's still young enough. Like he's starting kindergarten this year. He's young enough that if we were to move, he probably wouldn't really care, or would not remember it. But I also don't want to like uproot him too much.
Yeah, but I just can't help because you opened that door just to say that there's mail order flute companies who have affiliates and who work with people remotely. And,
Yeah.
and our industry, one of the problems in our industry is there's this gap between people who play and teach, whether it's in the public school or private lessons, and people who actually contribute to the industry, whether it be through repair, fixing things,
Mhm.
or through helping advise people on products. Because as you know, it's very daunting to find someone you can trust when you're making such a big investment. These
Right.
things are so expensive, right? And so anyhow, just something to keep in mind, because that's one of the problems which we were talking about at the beginning before we started, was just our industry's in this weird little quagmire where some places like where you are seem to be still booming with music, which is awesome to hear that. And I'd love for you to tell us a little bit about that, but so many places are not. And do you have any ideas why your community is doing so well?
Um, I th- um, I think because I live in Utah, it's just always been a very music heavy state, and some of that might be attributed to some of the Christian values. Like everybody wants to learn an instrument so they can play in church
Wow.
and things like that. That could be part of it. I'm not saying it is, but it could be. Um,
Because I was thinking family values, like
yeah,
the, but as if there's family values seem as an overarching theme, kind of big in Utah.
yeah, and I think a lot of the parents played an instrument, and so either they want their kids to, or their kids have shown interest, and so they get them started that way. Like I have one student who her mom plays the flute, and she said, like, she came to me for lessons because she's like, well, I taught her as much as I could
Mhm.
with what knowledge I have on the flute, and now we need her to be with somebody who's got like even more knowledge. And so hopefully I've only had like 2 lessons with her. Hopefully I can continue to have enough knowledge that she'll want to stick with me for lessons. But I think that's a big part of it is, yeah, like you said, family values, um, which I think is great because
Do you
usually
see a lot of
lifelong.
adult community groups in Utah as well?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. So I think almost every city has some sort of either band or symphony, like every city, which I think is great.
That's
I play in a flute choir actually, which is a ton of fun. I really enjoy it. I started playing with this group. It's called the Utah County Flute Choir,
Mhm.
and I started playing with them about a year and a half ago. And I had played in bands, I'd played in symphonies, but I'd never done a flute choir, and so it's been a really unique experience. But
Mhm.
it's just made up of community members. I mean, we're a nonprofit, like we don't get paid. The group will make money if somebody wants to pay us to play, but and it's just like advanced high school level. Some of us are teachers and some of us are just hobbyists. Like we've got a full-time career, but we still love to play our flute.
Mhm. So is it really easy to find students then?
Um, I think for me it's been hard. Part of the issue is there are a lot of students, but there are also a lot of teachers
Uh,
in Utah, and so a lot of them are already studying with somebody. Um, and I think a lot of it also is word of mouth, and like the bigger fish, so to speak, are gonna get they're gonna get the catch first, right? And the teachers that everybody knows about are always going to get asked first, and so I'm trying to like make a name for myself as a teacher. I'm one of the only teachers in the area, but I still have to get myself out there, which is a little bit difficult.
mhm. So, people who are listening probably don't have a music background. And I wondered if you could talk for a minute about this kind of professional pursuit of a lot of musicians where they get degrees or advanced degrees and they wind up teaching private lessons. And I wondered if you could share a little bit about what does it pay and why do you do that? Like, why is that a professional pursuit that's worthy?
Yeah, I don't know what a lot of people with advanced degrees would charge. I know that my teacher um has a PhD and she charges something like $90 a lesson.
It's like an
She
hour, right?
right, typically, yeah. um an hour, give or take. She went to Juilliard, and I think she just went and got advanced degrees because she loves the instrument. She was really interested in it. Now she's taught and played professionally for pretty much her entire life, and she's from Utah, and then she went and did school and ended up coming back. um but I think for music especially, it's one of those things that you get an advanced degree because you love it and you're willing to pay the money and put in the time. um and you can teach privately. I feel like a lot of people, especially if they're getting an advanced degree, they go on to become like university professors, though, too. That sometimes is the goal for a lot of them when they get an advanced degree.
Mhm. And those positions are drying up. They're harder to get.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, which is sad.
So obviously, I mean, $90 an hour is a good rate of pay. I mean, that's, if she was able to earn that 40 hours a week, that's good money, right?
Mhm.
But most people don't think musicians do very well, and that, we're not focused enough on developing careers that, um, you know, we can aspire to a higher level. And what value base do you think we learn that makes us feel that way?
Um, I think just part of it can be keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak. And if you're not making good money, then what's the point?
Hmm.
Which is kind of sad when you think about it, because money is not all that life's about. You need to have things that are bringing you joy, helping you to de-stress. And that's the thing, even if you're only playing an instrument to help you de-stress a little bit at the end of the day, that's the important thing. Not everybody can be, and not everybody wants to be like a professional high caliber musician, but that's not the point. Music is for everybody, and music is something that can bring us joy. Even if we love our 9 to 5 job, we can have something to help us at the end of the day prepare for the next day.
Hmm. And I wonder if that's because we start so early and we experience that feeling that doesn't really come. I'm trying to think of what else in life. I mean, maybe when you do sports and the endorphins are, really high, you might have that feeling, right? Um, and but where else do you get that kind of feeling, right? It's a strange thing what music does, how it makes you, how it lights you up,
Hmm.
even when you don't do it very well.
I think, exercising, because I don't really play sports, but I do like exercising, yoga, and things like that. It does make me feel good, but exercise doesn't like light my soul on fire the way music does. And I don't know if there's much of anything else in my life in particular that like lights my soul on fire the same way. Like I'll listen to some music and even play some music, and just sitting in an ensemble, even if I'm not playing and I'm just listening to the other musicians playing, there is something about that that's so different. And that just brings me so much fulfillment that I haven't really been able to find anywhere else.
Mhm.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. I guess I just also wonder about, attention deficit disorder and how musicians have had to work very hard to overcome any aspect of that, because you can't play a musical instrument if your mind is wandering, because you can't follow what's on the written page and you can't stay with the groove, right? And so I'm wondering how much that is a step one to actually starting to understand the value of music, because in our world where it's constant disruption and people are not verbally communicating and they're texting and they're disconnected from themselves. If one of the first steps that music brings you is this ability to focus, which then opens up the opportunity to have you actually feel connected to what you're doing.
Hmm. Yeah, so I can actually tell you that I'm pretty sure I have ADHD. I'm being tested for it right now. In fact, I have an appointment this afternoon with um one of like the counselors at the school that I attend to like finish up the testing process. And it can be quite difficult, but I feel like the music it and being in an ensemble does help, because I have to be cognizant of if I'm paying attention to those around me so I know when to come in on time. And I can count, but knowing like what I call the musical roadmap based on what I'm hearing helps too.
Hmm.
And I feel like if I'm listening to music while I'm doing chores or anything else, it helps me a little bit to stay on track.
Hmm. And do you think that um, when you're able to focus and concentrate, do you notice that when you're done playing that you're flooded with ideas, or that you think more coherently, or you speak better? Do you notice anything about the effects of playing?
Um, I I don't know about those things in particular that you mentioned. I feel like maybe I can think better in the fact or the idea that it kind of helps to clear my head a little bit, or like get me out of my own head, if that makes sense. Just kind of like clear my mind, free my mind, and then I'm able, yeah, to go in and focus on something that I need to do again.
So you're able to be
Sometimes,
more present.
right, like my mind can get so muddled. And if I'm playing music and I just kind of let it go, especially if I'm playing with other people, that helps.
And when things go wrong in an ensemble and you make a mistake or you're not with somebody or you play a wrong note, what helps get you back on track?
Um, I I never play wrong notes. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think part of it is I I just kind of like hold on and hope we come back together. We usually do, but also understand that everybody makes mistakes. It's okay if I make a mistake. If it's in a performance setting, likely maybe people in the ensemble would know, but nobody really cares. Nobody's going to come and be like, "What the heck?" But especially like the audience is not going to know. Um, they would have to know the piece so well to know that there was any sort of mistake, and most often they don't, and so it's not something to worry about. Um, and
That
I
reminds me of this horrible story. I got called for a gig and it was on the stage of Orchestra Hall in Chicago and it was for like a very unusual ensemble. And the one of the movements started with a clarinet solo and the conductor wasn't very clear. He didn't have a clear downbeat. And I started the second movement before he was ready.
Uh-oh.
And
Whoops.
the problem was he didn't want to do that.
Oh, so did he stop or did you just keep going?
I just played to the end of my solo and then we did it again.
That's awesome. Test run.
Oh God, I was completely embarrassed. But whatever. What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
It happens. But that's the thing about music is that it gives you a chance to shine. Sometimes even
Yeah.
on the spot,
I know.
but but it helps you get over it. I think too.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like music is not so serious that you can't laugh at yourself or be like, whoops. There are certain situations if you're in an audition or a competition, obviously that's serious and you do want to take that as seriously as possible. But, we also have to understand that we're human and even the best of us are going to make mistakes from time to time.
Yeah, for sure. If somebody was listening to this podcast and just really loved your story, what would you say to them to encourage them to play a wind instrument?
I would say, if you've never experienced it before, give it a try, see how you like it, and listen to a lot of music as well. If you're thinking about trying an instrument, you don't know which one, go on YouTube or Spotify and just type in flute music or clarinet music or saxophone music and listen. Because for me, listening is one of the biggest catalysts for learning new music. I'll hear something, I'm like, oh, that's so pretty. I'll go and I'll find the music and then I start playing it myself. It's easy to get overwhelmed with how much there is out there, both the plethora of instruments to play, the amount of music there is to play. And so listening to what you enjoy first can help you decide, oh, okay, that oboe sounds awesome. I would love to play it.
Mhm. And you know what? If you are a parent and you have a child that is band age, start with them.
Yeah. Learn together. That's a great idea too.
Yeah, I mean, you can be a beginner just like them, and then you'll have this thing in common with your child where you've learned exactly how they have, and you'll have a new relationship.
Yeah. I have one of my students, um, everybody in her family is a musician to some sort. Like her sister plays violin and her dad plays guitar, the mom plays piano. Her youngest brother wants to start on like drums and percussion when he gets to that point. Um, but during her lessons, I say all the time, I'm like, well, you play piano, like we've got some flute and piano things that we're working on. You know, try to play together if you can, because that increases their bond as a mother-child, but also it would just playing playing a piece with accompaniment versus playing it just alone without the accompaniment is so different. And once you have that accompaniment, it opens up this whole new like world of, wow, that's how that's supposed to sound. And you're hearing the harmonies and really getting an idea for how the piece is supposed to sound, which is wonderful.
That's awesome. Jennifer, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. We
Yeah,
are
thank you.
we are closing in on our 50th episode, and I don't know, you're very close to that. I don't exactly know where yours is going to fall, but I will let you know when it's going to air. Thank you so much for participating. I really, really appreciate
Yeah,
it.
thank you for having me.
I will let you know when it airs, and I hope to talk to you again soon.
Okay, thank you very much. Bye.
Bye.